Hello, this is Sharon Kay with Beauty by Sharon Kay. Stopping by, I got to share a great video photo shoot that I had an opportunity to participate in this past weekend. I thought this would be helpful to not only my clients, but also to other makeup artists, those that aren't familiar with and what it's like working during a pandemic. First off, my client referred to me by another professional artist, thought that I'd be a great fit. And with that, the client that I was working with was shooting a video of his products, his services. He's got a great book coming up, and we did headshots. And I, of course, can't give you all the deets right now because there's so much coming ahead, and I don't want to let everything out until he's ready. But we had a great experience, and I want to tell you the things that I did and what he did to make our project run smoothly. So, arrived at this great professional loft in the Fulton Market District here in Chicago. Great setup, one-stop shop, everything that you would need. Kitchen, there were showers. I mean, perfect setting. My client, very savvy and mindful of who he was working with, took my temperature. Even though I worked with a mask on the entire time, I respect everybody and I respect myself. And we worked at a high level of sanitation, but we still got the job done. 4 hours, 4 hour shoot with my client. So with that, hands washed, we use sanitizer throughout. Even though we checked temperatures, we just were mindful, and everyone came away very pleased, and we have a great product coming up. So with that in mind, let's get into jump in and talk about exactly my client and what I used, and this will be great tips for others as well as for my clientele. I like to get an idea of my client's expectations before we start anything. He and I communicated ahead of the shoot, but when I arrived, he showed me his wardrobe and what his expectation of what he would like me to provide. I already had an idea, but of course I relayed it to him. Communication is so key. I wanted to make sure that he had a flawless finish and a no makeup look. Again, this is a gentleman, and I didn't want him to look as heavily made up. So skin preparation was very important, and how I applied the foundation and products that I used on him also came into play. Also, your photographer will be very happy with your work if that client is well prepped. It's less editing and work that they have to recreate the wheel if that client is as well presented on camera. So after getting set up, I had a chance to evaluate my client's skin. In his case, slightly oily, so I didn't want him to look extra shiny on camera. My client is bald, very low cut beard, very small amount of facial hair, some blemishes. So of course I paid attention in clean up and cover up of those areas. So let's get into what I used. Again, not sure when his last, what he was using regularly. I wanted to make sure that he was well exfoliated. So I used Mario Badescu glycolic cleansing wash. Just did a quick cleanse over and then got into making sure that he was hydrated. Keep in mind, you can have oily skin and still have dehydration issues. So I didn't want to make him to be too shiny. Of course, prepping and preparing the skin ahead of time will give you a great makeup application. After cleansing, we're ready to apply the actual skin prep. This can be used as a primer. It's a liquid primer top esthetician and makeup artist from the Chicago area that I trained with, Sonia Rosselli Beauty. I used her skin prep. It's an oil, liquid. I put quite a bit on my hand there, so great under your makeup and a great hydration. Again, we had a very long day, and I did not want my client to look dehydrated. I didn't want him to look too overly shiny. We are going to set after the finished makeup application, but underneath that makeup, we got to make sure that's all well put together. I followed with his skin oil, with her skin oil, Sonia Rosselli skin oil. And it's a liquid oil. And that goes over the top of the skin prep. Blended that in. And then we're ready to follow with foundation application. Couple of grooming tips because it says a male client. I did clean up his brows. I didn't go under and remove hair underneath, but brushed up and do a little trim on top. Everybody's not able to keep up all of their regular appointments because of the pandemic, so I just simply trimmed off brow hairs on top. Take your tweezers, take your scissors with you. Make sure their hands are well hydrated. If you need to, you can exfoliate. She has what she calls sex appeal. This is a great exfoliant. You can use it on the face. You can use it on the hands. Take those products along to make sure that especially if it's a client that talks with his hands, they look good and his skin looks good from the face as well as the hands. Take your hand cream. Keep them hydrated. I like to use for my sanitation for the hands. This is an essential oil. Great scented, but it has sanitation benefits and keeping the hands properly cleansed throughout because we're touching things around us. Keep the hands well cleaned as well as hydrated. So let's get into the makeup application. Certain areas of the skin, we had blemishes, so we wanted to make sure that we covered those areas up. I used Makeup Forever liquid matte finish foundation. Again, he's on camera. Didn't want him to be extra too shiny. I applied with a flat brush and then buffed out with a fluffy brush. This gives it a natural finish. You're getting the coverage that's needed. Did that throughout the face. Under eye, I used a lighter shade of foundation. Again, this is a man trying to achieve a non-heavy makeup application look. I used a lighter shade as the concealer, made sure that it was well blended with the foundation, and then followed with the MAC skin powder coverage over the top of the foundation to set it. Also used a lighter shade under the under eye for concealer to make sure that that wasn't moving. Throughout the day, of course, my client experiencing its allergy season, a little bit of watery eyes. I just simply touched up with a powder puff. Any areas that were shining under the eye, I did touch up a couple of times using the foundation as well as stippling in with a brush that minimizes, that gives you that natural no makeup look. Finished off the top of the face and highlighted with an illuminating powder by MAC. Buffed out in the nose and the forehead and on the cheeks. I may have mentioned my client some facial hair, so I didn't go down into this area too much, just of course for touch-up purposes of some blemishes, and just simply buffed out with a brush. And then we were just about there, ready for camera, but one last thing, make sure the lips are well prepped. Take your chapstick. And one other key tip that I'd love to share with you that I'm so glad thought ahead, I even took along and prepared with a matte lipstick. I just simply found a shade that was close to his natural lip shade, so he had a very nice, luscious pink pout, soft pink pout, not over the top. And with that, we're ready to finish his complete look. I set face with the Urban Decay setting spray, and his look lasted the entire day. We shot for 4 hours. I may have mentioned that. Just simply had to go in under the eye and touch up as needed, and took down the shine on the nose with a powder puff. The head, he had a bald head, so of course we wanted to keep that shine free. I buffed out with the pressed powder, keep the shine down. I didn't excessively use too much of the powder. I know it is buildable, but I still wanted to maintain that nice makeup look, so I just simply touched up with a powder puff to take down the shine. At the end of the day, my client still had a couple of other shots that he was going to do one-on-one with his photographer, so I was able to leave him with everything that I worked with. I used disposable trays. These are cost very minimal. I worked out of the trays, left my client with products for touch-up later. I also left brushes that I work with. My clients at their appointment receive these brushes. Everybody gets a brand new brush that I work with. I simply leave them with the client at the end of the appointment, and it keeps cross-contamination minimized. Of course, everything wiped down and sanitized with medical grade wipes. Barbicide also has wipes I use and keep on hand. Everything gets sprayed, wiped down. Ink pens, everything that I touch is sanitized with makeup wipes as well as with alcohol. Everything returns home, wiped down, sanitized, and clean. So there you have it, guys. Thank you so much. Stay tuned. You're going to get more bits and pieces as we continue to roll out this project of my video shoot during a pandemic. Everyone, thanks for stopping by. Have an awesome day.